today we're going to be looking at the Deathmaw Valley expansion as well as the Kickstarter extras. So let's see what we've got. Deathmaw Valley. What do you get inside the box? Well, you get a double-sided board. One half of it is an underground lair. The other side is the aforementioned Deathmaw Valley. You also have an array of these, which are new equipment types that you can use. So you've got some kind of harpoon gun, that's quite cool. A flamethrower, and some various other bits and bobs. You have a whole heap of new tokens, which you can use for the brand new missions. So these are for the egg hunt mission, and then you've also got these biological sample missions, which have alien nests on the back of them. That's quite cool. You've got a crash spaceship tile, which is either got the hatching around the outside of it, whether it is the starting area or not. And then lastly, in terms of the big stuff, you've got this guy. Look at that. That is the Deathmaw. Made of lots of little pieces which you can take apart and add new bits to, depending on how many players you've got. You will then also have all the relevant cards to use the Deathmaw, and you also have this, which is the spawn card for the Deathmaw. And lastly, not lastly even, think about it, lastly for the Deathmaw at least, you have these, which are special event cards, as you do not use the regular event cards that you would have in the base game Project Elite. The Deathmaw itself has special activation cards because it obeys no rules that the standard monsters obey. And then lastly, you've got these search equipment cards, which are basically all the new traps that you would be getting with this expansion. So let's see how they work. So here we are, set up for a game of Project Elite with Deathmaw Valley. The game plays very similarly to the standard game. If you're not sure how that works, check out my review and preview of that, which will have a card appearing about now if I'm lucky. But there are some differences. So first things first, you don't play with the standard event decks. You will instead be using the Deathmaw event deck, which is how the Deathmaw itself will enter the map and start unleashing hell. So that's one difference. Also, there are no alien movement markers on the board. That's because when anything spawns in, it basically just comes straight across the board. This particular map is ever so slightly different as well. This mission is ever so slightly different as well, as normally you're limited to just 8 rounds of the game, whereas this one will just keep going and going and going until you've killed the Deathmaw. You've still only got 2 minutes per round to move and activate all your dice, but you have an unlimited number of rounds in this one. To take on the Deathmaw, once it's been spawned, it will come thundering down the board at you. Each of the players can take shots at the Deathmaw, and to kill it, what you will end up having to do is you'll have to take the life tokens off of the Deathmaw body. Each one has 6 life tokens, so it needs to be hit 6 times. Once you've taken out the segment, you actually unclip it, like so, rebuild the Deathmaw, goodbye, and then you will end up flipping over the relevant segment, and there is an event that will happen once you've done that, and then every round now, at the end of every round, that event will happen to the Deathmaw. And some of them are good, some of them are bad, some of them will allow you to heal the Deathmaw, some of the bits that are still left, other ones will damage it, some will make it move further. There are a selection of these in the box, and you won't play with all of them every time, and because they're face down, you don't actually know what you're going to reveal once you've done the damage, which is quite nice, with one exception, which I'll get on to later, because I think there's a little bit of a printing error. Other things that are different, you will start the game with one of these trap cards, which means each of your players starts with one trap. The rest of them are shuffled into the search deck, so if you come down to the search tokens, there's a chance of you getting some more. These are quite good, they're quite powerful, and basically they allow you to drop something off, and then you can allocate your dice to them as and when you want to, and then you can use these traps to try and take out the Deathmaw or the other aliens, because that's the other thing, all the regular aliens are still going to be spawning in as well, so it's nice and tricky for you. Lastly, you've got the way the Deathmaw itself actually works. So what will happen is you will pull out 2 Deathmaw activation cards every round, and what will happen is these will actually tell you what the Deathmaw will do. It will say how it moves and how it attacks. There are 4 basic there are 4 different things it can do. It can dig, which is basically where it just comes straight at you and knocks you out of the way and then attacks anybody as it comes back out. It can attack with its head, where it will thrash about and kill anyone in front of it. It can attack with its tail, where it will do the same thing behind, or it can do a side attack where it will actually roll onto another column and it will deal damage to anybody who's on the side of it as well, which is very tricky. This thing hits hard, so you want to try and keep your distance if you can. But yeah, to win a lot of these missions, what you have to do is end up killing it, and that's quite cool. So the other side of the board, it looks a bit more like a traditional Project Elite setup. You've got all your arrows are back on the board. There are 2 missions in the game that actually use this one of which has you trying to run around and destroy a bunch of egg tokens, which, let's get one of these out. So you have to shoot them, and then when you flip them over, there's a number on the back of them. Again, this one I think has a slight misprint in the rules. The way I interpret it is that it works very similarly to Betrayal House on the Hill. Because to spawn the Deathmaw on this map, at the end of every round you take 2 of your dice and you roll them. If you ever roll a 12 or more, the Deathmaw spawns, and now you've got to deal with that as well. The rulebook states that you add on 1 for every egg that's destroyed. The way I think it actually should work is you add on the value on the back instead. So the more of these things you kill, some of them will really ramp up how quickly the Deathmaw comes in. Otherwise, if you're just adding 1 for every egg you destroy, for the lower player counts, it's well, for a start off, why are the numbers on the back of them if they're not used? I could be very wrong. I could be wildly misinterpreting this, but that's how I think this is wrong in the rulebook. And I think what you should do is once you flip these over, you add these numbers that you revealed to your roll. If I'm wrong, let me know. But the other thing you can do on this map, it's probably one of my favourite ones, is there are 2 points here where you will actually end up placing wall tokens down, like so, and there's also a nest token which I've got somewhere around here. There we go. Here. And the idea is what you've got to do is there's a big nest down there, you need to destroy it. The only way you can get rid of it is with lava. So you've got a handful of lava tokens that come with this expansion, and what you have to do is you have to get in here, destroy these walls which are holding back the lava, and then the lava will flow following the alien movement lines, and you've got to try and get it into that hole there before time's up. It's very cool. I quite like it. It will deal damage to you. It will deal damage to the aliens as well. It's very cool. I like this one. This is probably my favourite mission that's included in the Deathmaw Valley expansion. So what do we get in the extras box? Well, there are no heroes in the base version of the expansion, but you do get 2 brand new heroes in this extras box, each with their own nice miniature, obviously. You also get an alternative tailpiece for the Deathmaw, which gives it a poison ability, which is not very nice. Can end up taking health off of every single member that gets poisoned at the end of every action round. Not good. Lastly, you have this guy here, who is a brand new box called Arachne, which makes me chuckle because a lot of people, myself included, have compared this game to Starship Troopers, and if this is not one of the bad guys from Starship Troopers, I don't know what is. So that's the Deathmaw Valley expansion. I really like the missions in this one. Because it uses completely different missions from the base game or the other large box expansion, the Alien Ship Rescue, they do feel very, very different. So that's one very big plus to this expansion. The Deathmaw itself is quite good. It's very, very tough, especially when you've got other bosses coming at you as well. It can be used with the base game or any other expansion. You just have 2 segments with it and treat it as you would any other boss. That's fine. My main problem with this expansion is some of the production in it. So I've noticed this myself, and I have seen other people complaining about it online. But the way the Deathmaw works is you've got these kind of ball and joint pieces. Now, I've had to file all of these down, because if you don't file them down, they're incredibly difficult to stick together, and they can actually end up damaging the miniatures, pulling them apart. Not to mention that these miniatures are incredibly pointy, and it actually hurts your fingers to try and do that. So yeah, I've had to file these down with a bit of sandpaper. Some people have put magnets on them. That's pretty cool. I don't have any magnets, so I can't do that myself though. So that's a bit annoying. There are also a few spelling errors in the manual as well. Nothing game breaking, but it just show a little bit of a lack of attention to detail. One of the things that I noticed as well, the extra tail that you get, so you can switch out the Deathmaw tail to give it a nice stingy scorpion tail instead. The way this works is you have one of your tails, one of your body sections on the Deathmaw is switched out for one, which basically makes you take this off and add this version instead. Kind of, I guess, thematically, you've done this thing some damage, it mutates or something like that, and now it's got a poison tail. The problem is that the card that actually enables you to do that is ever so slightly different than all the regular ones, which means if you are using this card, you can tell exactly which segment you don't want to destroy, because it will spawn this thing in, which is, it's not great. It's the kind of thing you would hope would have been spotted. On top of that, there's a few little things, like I mentioned, with the egg tokens, where the rules aren't exactly clear. There's some of the examples which, for the way the Deathmaw attack, which aren't, again, as clear as they could be. It feels as if this was rushed a little bit in terms of production and proofreading. Once you've got past that, the game itself, as I say, is really good. The traps are fantastic. They really give you the edge in this. And again, these can be rolled into any other expansion, with the exception of the thumper and the beacon, which can only be used with this expansion. The extra characters from the extras, they're okay. They're nothing amazing. Again, to be honest with you, the extras pack for this one is really quite good for, like I said, these are a bit tight still. Oh dear. It's really good for this extra tail that you can put on, which can like make the boss a little bit harder when you're trying to kill it. The extra characters, take them or leave them. It's nice to have some extra characters, and if you like to paint, there's a few more minis for you to paint, but they're nothing special. They're not like the Rook team ones, which, as I said before, I really quite enjoy those. And yeah, that's basically it. It's an alright expansion. It's kind of let down by a few production value problems, but yeah, on the whole, it's pretty good. I'd recommend picking it up if you can. Can I say, the new missions are really good. The Deathmaw itself is good, and the traps are also really good, as long as you could ignore a few production problems and you don't mind having to file some pieces down yourself. But yeah, other than that, pretty good. And that is Deathmaw Valley expansion for Project Elite. Hope you enjoyed the video. I've been Punk Meeple, and we'll see you again soon.